Golden State.
I'm telling you that at the All-Star break, if you'd have told me Houston was going to have a better record and they were going to have the home court advantage, I'd be shocked about that. Are they a better team? No, I believe they are formidable, though. I believe that this will be contested. And not only by Houston, I just believe that whoever is in the 2 and the 3 seed, they're going to have a tougher trip to the finals than the number 1 seed. Now, we don't know who's going to be number 8 seed, so that first round matchup for the number 1 seed. But Houston, they have improved their team. Chris Paul, his ability to play with James Harden, I believe over a half a season has proven itself. But most of the things on their resume have to do with the postseason. James Harden disappearing in the postseason. Chris Paul being hurt in the postseason. So even on paper, if they have the best record, a lot of their questions, they have to be answered in the postseason. Golden State has proven at the end of the season, in the postseason, they can turn it up to a different gear. So, no, right now I give benefit of the doubt to the Warriors because they are the world champions.
Perfect example is, can you, outside of De'Aaron Fox, can you name a Sacramento Kings starter? And I like to think I know a lot about basketball, and I had to look. Like, I didn't know Jakar Sampson or Willie Cauley-Stein or Bogan Bogdanovic were 3 of the starters for the Kings. So I don't know if last night is a great gauge. You're looking at the overall record. And there's a lot of Toronto Raptors to what we see with the Rockets, right? But the Raptors, as you pointed out earlier, and accurately so, they've actually changed their offense. They're moving the ball a lot better. There's a lot of reason to buy into. There's a lot of reason to buy into the Houston Rockets. I love Chris Paul. He's tough. He plays defense. I think he's actually clutch, even though his record in the postseason would tell you otherwise.
Yes.
James Harden's incredible, and he wears you down because he gets to the free throw line. And I love how they use Clint Capella. But again, until I see it in the playoffs, I have history as my guide. And history has told me that Mike D'Antoni's teams don't guard. Talk to people in the NBA, and they'll say, James Harden still doesn't play any defense, and he still gets so many calls in the regular season, he's not going to get in the postseason. So they've done a nice job of trying to reformulate this thing. But if you ask yourself, match up the top 3 guys from the Golden State Warriors. You got Steph Curry, you got Kevin Durant, you got Klay Thompson. Can you match up those top 3 guys with the top 3 guys from the Houston Rockets? And the answer is no. Steph Curry has consistently dominated Chris Paul in one-on-one matchups going back to the Clipper days. He's abused him. Sure. He's the one guy that Chris Paul, because if you can bring hand checking back in, Chris Paul would maul him, would manhandle. But because he can't touch him, he's really struggled to guard Steph Curry. And then you have the Draymond problem. And whoever the 5th player is for the Golden State Warriors, we talked a little bit about earlier, they need Iguodala to play better. I still think the Golden State Warriors are better, even if the Rockets are playing better basketball right now, because I have history and I have the individual matchups to point to.
Let me ask you both this real quick. History is great. They are proven in the postseason. I'm talking about Golden State, of course. Absolutely true. But as we said earlier in the show, Chris Carter and Doug, their record is almost as bad as it's ever been under Steve Kerr's leadership.
Sure.
So are you both sitting here today on this program still supremely confident in Golden State's ability to do what they have done previously in the postseason based off of what we've seen thus far this year?
Right. Well, one thing that I have to do, I have to give them benefit of the doubt. They've played 3 seasons. They've played over 100 games. So, and if I don't do that, I'm not being fair. I'm not being fair to NBA historians. I'm not being fair to what's played out in the NBA. So with them having the same record as Houston. Now, what I'm more concerned about is the bench. You talked about the top 3. Yes, Golden State has an advantage. But where Houston has gotten much better is in their bench play, in that second unit that's going to play a lot of minutes in the playoffs. So you got to give Golden State the benefit of the doubt. But also D'Antoni's system, it has improved, but will it prove out when the possessions become more valuable? And when you don't get up and down the court as much in the postseason, what wins out? Either the way the Warriors have played, and the Warriors, they're going to up their defense at the end of the season into the playoffs.
In basketball, as in all sports, you take on the identity of your coach. You take on the identity of your best player.
Yes.
And when your coach is an offensive-minded, offensive guru, offensive genius that has never really had a ton of time for defense, and he has to hire a Jeff Bezdelk and says, you handle the defense, it's still who the head coach is a reflection. That team is a reflection of his personality. And the same with this team. No matter how many other defensive pieces you put around James Harden, the best of the best learn to compete at the defensive end. end. That's how they win championships. And he's still, if you watch him, you really pay attention. Don't give me these defensive ratings. He still hides. He still takes plays off. The identity of the Rockets is D'Antoni and Harden, and that identity is too offensive-minded to win when it really matters.
All right, with that, we'll leave it there. Next up, going to the NFL. Can Johnny Manziel